Metal Gear Solid. No, wait, that doesn't sound right. Wanna help me out here, Snake?
Metal Gear.
Much better. Technically the third game in the series, after Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, it was released on the PS1 in 1998. Directed by the now legendary Hideo Kojima, and was the series' first foray into the world of 3D. And it took the gaming world by the neck and gave it a nice few chokes. Yeah. That is to say, it was critically acclaimed and to this day is widely regarded as one of the best games of all time. There probably isn't anything I can say about this game that hasn't already been said a million times, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Hello everyone, my name is Mage, and today I'm going to tell you as best I can the many reasons I love Metal Gear Solid. Back when I was about 8 years old, my parents took me and my sister to visit some of their friends on Christmas Eve. They had kids around my age and they had a PS1, just like myself. I remember we played a lot of Ready to Rumble, which was pretty fun and ridiculous, although I wasn't super great at it. However, that would not be the thing that stuck with me most from that afternoon. Oh no, it was a game they were playing as we arrived. Some kind of soldier running around a helipad in the snow, talking green faces, and floating rotating boxes. I had no idea what it was, but it looked cool. Incidentally, this was actually the first time I learned that you could open the disc tray on the PS1 while the game was running, and it would still play for a little while. Man, life-changing. I never learned the name of the game, but I was immediately sucked in, even if I'd never actually played it myself. Months later, one of my uncles, who we had borrowed quite a few PS1 games from in the past, lent me a game called Metal Gear Solid, and to my surprise, it was the very same game I had experienced fleetingly all those months ago. And it terrified me. I couldn't handle the stress, the tension. I swear, I couldn't even get through the first area. I had never played a game before that required you to actively avoid enemies, so I was not prepared for this at all. I kept crawling out from the starting position and then immediately retreating as soon as I saw someone coming. It was not a great start to my Metal Gear journey. So I gave up. I decided I'd go back to shooting wolves on Tomb Raider instead. That was also incredibly scary, but at least I could fight back with those sweet, sweet unlimited ammo pistols. More months passed by, and I ended up having to have my tonsils removed. So, I was laid up at home, 2 weeks off school with not much to do other than rest, eat ice cream, and feel sorry for myself. Since I was like 9 years old at the time, my dad stayed home from work to look after me, and for some reason, decided to try Metal Gear Solid for himself. Probably out of sheer boredom. Now my dad, he was never super into video games, so this was quite a rare thing. The only thing he had spent any amount of time with prior to this was the first Doom, and the aforementioned Tomb Raider. I laid on the sofa ready to see if he could do any better than I did, and what happened over those next 2 weeks was nothing I could have ever predicted. Not only did my dad enjoy the game, he loved it. He couldn't put it down, and I couldn't stop watching. Eventually, I built up enough courage to try it again myself, and we would take turns trying boss fights, working together to figure out what to do next, and coming up with theories on the story. It wasn't long before the end credits were rolling, and we were both in agreement. It had been something very special. So much so that we bought our very own copy shortly after returning it to my uncle. Man, that Konami intro is iconic. I feel like no developer or publisher these days has anything like this anymore. I miss the 90s. Furbies can burn in hell though. Before we even get to the title screen, the game's opening cutscene plays. We are being sent alone to an Alaskan base on Shadow Moses Island to thwart a terrorist group. Our commanding officer briefing us on the details as our hero infiltrates within a super cool mini-sub Kinda looks like a penis. It wastes no time setting the scene, telling us all the basic info we need to know about the mission ahead, and is just a very effective intro, establishing the mood of the game with ease. It's also so darn cinematic. More on that later. The title screen is simple but instantly recognizable. The slow build-up of the music and then it hits. Ugh, goosebumps. It also shows off Yoji Shinkawa's phenomenal artwork. His art style for characters in particular has always appealed to me. It just feels so unique. I remember the game manual had fantastic full-color pictures with character bios and just reading them way too much. That thing was a thick boy. I was genuinely angry when the default case art for MGS5 used the in-game render instead of his artwork. Anyone else feel this way? Always bugged me. Selecting new game, I was immediately kicked back to the press start screen. Okay. Kid me was very confused. I'd never played any game before that had the circle button as the default confirmation button instead of X. I am so glad this didn't become standard. Tactical espionage action. Now that is a pretty damn accurate tagline, although as a kid I'm pretty sure I didn't actually know what it meant. As I alluded to earlier, Metal Gear Solid is primarily a stealth game. You are outnumbered, and at least in the beginning, horrendously outgunned. As in, you don't have one. Nothing. All you have is some binoculars and a pack of cigarettes.
Cigarettes? How are those going to help you?
You never know.
Weapons and equipment, OSP. You feel immensely vulnerable, and at a massive disadvantage. Pretty much throughout the whole game. The odds are stacked against you, and you and Snake are going to have to use all of your wits and skill to make it through alive. This is the key reason why MGS is so darn thrilling from a gameplay perspective. You can't just run and gun through hordes of enemies, you'll be shredded to pieces in seconds. Your life bar starts out shorter than Christian Bale's temper, and you have absolutely no choice but to avoid conflict at all costs. Every action needs to be thought out, every room scouted, every enemy patrol studied. One mistake, and it's probably all over. Unless you can escape and find a hiding spot. This was such a revelation to me as a kid. I, like many others growing up, loved playing hide and seek. I would play it all the time with my sister growing up, with friends, and this was like that but somehow dialed up to 11. There's nothing like getting spotted suddenly and hearing that alert sound. It still startles me to this day, every single time. I love the exclamation mark too, by the way. Such a nice little touch. You can commando crawl, hug walls, punch, kick, throw, and even choke out enemies. I've always found the sound effects of Snake's punch-punch-kick combo incredibly satisfying for some reason. You can even knock on walls to lure guards over.
What was that noise?
And oh my god, running across certain surfaces will make noise. Run through a puddle of water, guards nearby will investigate.
What was that noise?
Run through snow, guards will follow the footprints.
Whose footprints are these?
This blew my mind back in 1999. Sure, the enemy AI isn't amazing by today's standards. Guards only seem to be able to see about 10 feet in front of them, and will conveniently forget that 2 minutes ago they got punched in the face by a guy in a bandana. But you know what? A lot of games these days still have these kinds of behaviors, and it feels more forgivable in a game that's now nearly 25 years old. Snake is in constant communication with various members of his support team through the Codec system, which is basically a fancy radio. But I love how they explain it in-game.
The Codec's receiver directly stimulates the small bones of your ear. No one but you will be able to hear it.
This functions not only as a tutorial resource.
Press the action button to drop down.
Which one is the fucking action button? But also as a means of story progression and just a way of getting to know the characters. It can be mostly ignored should you wish.
No. I just said no.
But I would call people all the time. It felt comforting to know at any point I could hit up the Colonel for some advice on how to proceed, or Nastasha if I wanted to know more about that weapon I just picked up. I would sometimes as a kid just spam call people over and over just to hear all the different conversations. I was that invested in the game's universe and characters. It helps that the voice acting in Metal Gear Solid is absolutely top tier. All of the cast give fantastic performances, especially David Hayter as Snake himself.
You need the highest security clearance to get access to the complete file.
You want me to believe that you're in charge of this op, but you don't have complete access to the file?
You really feel everyone on board was taking it seriously, giving it their all. The direction they received was obviously a huge factor in this too, and it's seriously impressive. You compare the voice work here to other games around this era.
Wow, what a mansion!
Captain Wesker, where's Chris?
Stop it! Don't open that door! Now, Jill, can you go?
I'm going with you. Chris is our old partner, you know.
I've tapped into their security files and accessed blueprints of the entire building.
Fagan doesn't know who I am. I'll go as a guest and plant a remote wire on him. If there's a connection, I'll find it.
All right. Report back to me in 24 hours.
Is this the first time you ever pointed a gun at a person? Your hands are shaking. Can you shoot me, rookie?
Careful. I'm no rookie.
Liar. That nervous glance, that scared look in your eyes. They're rookie's eyes if I ever saw them. You've never shot a person, am I right?
You talk too much.
You haven't even taken the safety off, rookie.
I told you I'm no rookie.
You're not one of them, are you?
Open that door. You've got a card, don't you?
Why?
So we can get the hell out of here.
Looks like we'll be a little delayed.
What are you doing? Don't think, shoot!
It's incredible the difference in quality. I'm not bashing on Resident Evil or Siphon Filter, but it's not even close. MGS blows them all out of the water. Getting through the first area, hoping the guards don't happen to stumble across you while you're waiting for the elevator to arrive, was exhilarating. And once you get on that lift, the game's title appearing for the first time, phew, bloody brilliant stuff. This is where the game truly begins. We get more cutscenes, introduced to more of the support team, and are given two choices on how to infiltrate the base.
They're armed with 5.56ers and pineapples.
I remember watching this scene as a kid and thinking the guards were carrying actual pineapples, and thinking that that was very strange. The helipad is the first area I think of when I think of MGS. The sound of the freezing wind, searchlights, multiple guards, and...
A surveillance camera?
I love how surprised Snake is to see a highly secured nuclear base has security cameras. It makes me smile every time. Metal Gear Solid feels like a movie. Like its two predecessors, it's a love letter to Hollywood action movies of the 80s and 90s. Die Hard, The Rock, Mission Impossible. They are my jam, and it's obvious Hideo Kojima has a great fondness for them too, recreating that blockbuster feel in video game form. I'd never seen anything like it before. You see, when I said this game was cinematic, that was probably a massive understatement. The way shots are framed, the camera's always moving, and again, those excellent performances from the cast make every cutscene just pop. Now, other games prior to MGS had done this pretty damn well at times too. The original Tomb Raider, for example, had some fantastic cutscenes with Lara jumping off her bike, shooting wolves, or ascending skyscrapers, but they were very few and far between, and not to mention CG. Metal Gear Solids were all within the game engine itself, and still managed to look awesome for the time. I still think they hold up pretty well today too. Perhaps not so much graphically, but in terms of style and direction, heck yes. I for one absolutely adore the batshit world that Kojima has created. It's such a unique mix of East and West. Real world history, military technology, blended together with more outlandish science fiction. You can go from a long conversation about nuclear treaties, PTSD, and missile propulsion systems, to cyborg ninjas, genetically engineered super soldiers, and psychic mind readers in bondage gear. It shouldn't all work so well, but somehow it just does.
All of this just works.
Thanks, Todd. Now, the many cutscenes would drag if the story they were telling was subpar. but the game's plot is utterly compelling and well told. Mysterious deaths, secret government programs, the threat of a nuclear strike should Snake fail to stop the bad guys.
I've already programmed the nanomachine so that...
Nanomachines, son! MGS1 keeps throwing new mysteries, revelations, and twists at you right from the get-go, and doesn't stop until the very end. And I mean the very end. The series as a whole would go on to weave an incredibly convoluted, multi-layered plot, but MGS1 has by comparison an incredibly tight and easy to follow story, even if it does reference a lot of characters and events from previous games. I find it stands alone as a fairly contained story very well, much better than most of the sequels, aside perhaps from MGS3. There's so much technical jargon too, which I remember being fascinated by. All these big words, acronyms, and adult speak. I had no idea what it all meant, but I felt so grown up playing it. I still don't understand some of it.
Right. They respond by becoming active and using the macrophages. They begin creating TNF-epsilon.
What's that?
It's a type of cytokine.
Oh, cytokine. Oh, of course, I totally know what that is. Thanks. Solid Snake is without a doubt my favorite video game character of all time. Yes, his name may sound like a euphemism for a raging erection.
I can't believe I'm being hit on by the famous Solid Snake.
Ow. But it's also incredibly badass. Obviously named after Snake Plissken from the John Carpenter movies, Escape from New York and Escape from LA, but we don't talk about that one. Kojima has always worn his influences proudly, even if he's not very subtle most of the time. Snake may seem at first like your cliched James Bondian action hero. He hits on members of his support team, makes jokes about the situation. But as the story progresses, you start to see that this is really just an act. He's fighting some real demons deep down.
So, tell me, Snake, what's your name? Your real name?
A name means nothing on the battlefield.
How old are you?
Old enough to know what death looks like.
Any family?
No, but I was raised by many people.
Is there anyone you like?
I've never been interested in anyone else's life.
So you are all alone, just like Mantis said.
Other people just complicate my life. I don't like to get involved.
You're a sad, lonely man.
You see him gradually lower this guard throughout the story, and it's so well done. Again, David Hayter is Solid Snake. It's probably my favorite performance from him in the whole series. Every great hero needs an equally powerful and imposing villain, and Kojima decided not just to give him one, no, he gave him a whole freaking squad. Seriously, MGS is just greedy when it comes to all-time great video gaming villains. Arguably the greatest rogues gallery of any video game character. Each member of Foxhound presents a different challenge for the player. From the gun-twirling mustachioed Revolver Ocelot, who likes to ricochet his bullets around corners, to the beautiful and deadly sharpshooter Sniper Wolf, who, shock horror, snipes you from afar. Every encounter with them proves to be pretty varied and challenging, requiring strategy and at times thinking majorly outside of the box. They're the highlights of the whole game for me, and it's a testament to how well they are designed that it never feels at odds with the fact that the game mostly demands you avoid getting in a scrap. The boss music is so good too, oh my god. Way better than that early 2000s techno crap from Twin Snakes. Holy shit. That game's soundtrack sucked. Oh, and if you die to one of those bosses, it's not so bad. Why? Because MGS1 has the best game over screen of all time. Hearing Campbell, Mei Ling, or Naomi scream after Snake really makes it feel like they cared about him. And by extension, you, the player. You really don't want to let them down again. They sound so sad. Now, at this point in the video, while I have been covering some slight spoilery stuff, I'm going to talk about specific game mechanics here that really, if you haven't played this game, you should discover for yourself. So this is just fair warning. Please skip to this timestamp ahead in the video to protect yourself and hopefully have a much better first time experience with the game. Trust me, it's worth it. We good to go? Okay, the boss fight with Psycho Mantis is one of the all-time greats in anything, I swear to God. He's psychic, so he can actually read your mind and dodge every single attack you throw at him. I remember me and my dad couldn't figure out what the hell we were supposed to do, so we ended up calling the Colonel for help.
I've got it! Use the controller port. Plug your controller into controller port 2. If you do that, he won't be able to read your mind.
Holy shit. Are you kidding me? To prevent him from reading your mind, you have to physically change the controller from port 1 to port 2. I cannot stress how genius this is. How the heck Kojima came up with this, I'll never know, but it's utterly inspired. Not only that, but he reads your memory card before the fight, commenting on various games you've played, or how he makes your controller vibrate through the power of his will alone. It's actually insane how masterfully they take advantage of the one thing that makes the medium of video games so unique: their interactivity. No other game had done this to this level before, and even to this day it stands out as one of the more creative sequences in all of gaming. Early in the game, you have to contact Meryl. They say her codec frequency is on the back of the CD case. Okay, well, I check my inventory for a CD case. Nothing. Huh, wonder where we find it. Oh, we have an optical disc, maybe they mean this? I examine it. Nope. What the hell? Me and my dad are stuck for ages. This was during the internet's infancy as well, bearing in mind, so we couldn't just look up the answer. It was driving us mad. I don't know why, but the thought just hit me. Do they mean the actual game case? Surely not. No way. In a screenshot on the back of the box, it shows a conversation with Meryl, and lo and behold, her frequency is right there. I remember running to my dad to show him and us both laughing at the sheer audacity of it all. It's just incredible. Or like when Snake's imprisoned, and you can use ketchup to trick the guard into thinking you're injured, giving you a window to escape. Why is this game so good? Okay, spoilers are over. I could go on and on about pretty much every single part of this game, but it's probably time I start to wrap this up. Many games at the time tasked you with mercilessly murdering everything on screen. Doom, Grand Theft Auto, Quake, all fantastic games, but they never asked the player to really think about the implications of their actions. Metal Gear Solid was different. It encouraged you to slip past enemies unseen. Characters struggle with the consequences of their actions.
I never had any problems in training, but when I thought about my bullets tearing through those soldiers' bodies, I hesitated.
Shooting at targets and shooting at living, breathing people are different.
Ever since I was a little girl, I always dreamed about being a soldier. Every day of my life, I've trained my mind and body for the one day when I could finally see some real action, and now...
So what now? You want to quit?
I can't quit. I can't allow myself to quit now.
Listen, Meryl. Everybody feels sick the first time they kill someone. Unfortunately, killing is one of those things that gets easier the more you do it. In a war, all of mankind's worst emotions, worst traits come out. It's easy to forget what a sin is in the middle of a battlefield.
Rejoice, Snake. Ours will be a glorious battle.
This isn't glorious, it's just plain killing. Violence isn't a sport.
MGS is incredibly anti-war. You can bypass every enemy in the game should you wish, or take them out non-lethally, aside from the bosses. MGS wasn't just content with being a fun video game, it wanted to say something, get a message across. And it really pushed the medium forward and changed what could be expected from these kinds of games. MGS was a fantastic bonding experience for me and my dad as well, one we still talk about to this day. Me and my friends would reenact certain scenes in the playground at school, talk about our favorite characters, play hide and seek at each other's houses with toy guns. It was a huge part of my childhood. It is without a doubt one of my favorite games of all time, and I will forever look back on it incredibly fondly. Thanks for watching all the way through this video, chaps. I really appreciate you indulging me with these videos where I just gush mostly about the games I love. It's a lot of fun for me, it's a lot of work as well, but I really do hope you enjoyed this. Also, with Konami being Konami, the whole video will probably be copyright claimed, so any support you guys can give me is much appreciated. Like the video, share it wherever you can, it really helps so much. Check the description for various ways you can help out the channel. I really can't thank you enough. Oh, and please comment below with your Metal Gear Solid stories too.
Drums and drums of nuclear waste stacked this high, as far as you can see, because there's still no real way to dispose of the stuff.
So they just close the lid and try to pretend like it'll go away?
Essentially, yes. And they're not even doing a good job of storing it. Many of the drums are corroded, with nuclear waste seeping out of them.
Unbelievable.
Not only that, but several pounds of muff are...
Muff.
This is Snake, telling you to subscribe to Mage Masher 22 on YouTube and Twitch. Snake out.